In Solid Edge ST5, not only have we added the thermal loads, but we've also have added the ability to show in our results isolines and isocurves, or surfaces. Now, one thing to point out before we show you this is that, well, in this case, I have a couple of temperatures set just for this particular thing. I've set it 250 degrees at the top of those, and then down here on this particular temperature load I have it set at 32 degrees, almost freezing. So what we're going to do is just run a quick analysis, and to show you the results of those, you can see here that we've got 32 degrees to 250 degrees between the high and the low of the temperatures between this part. The other thing that we'd like to be able to do is to look at a new results we call isocontour. So if I go back, and before I create this, the one thing I want to point out is we can look at isocontours or isolines, no problem. But if you create a study and you want to look at isosurfaces, before you create that study, you will need to uncheck under the results options the generate only surface results. If you turn this off, then it will allow you to generate the full ISO surfaces. With this on, you'll only get ISO lines. In this case, we've turned that off, and so we go back to our results of this particular study. And another thing that you can do is you can come over, and here you can turn surfaces in ISO contour on or off. So in this case, we'll turn it on, and then we are going to click on ISO contour. And you'll notice here that it gives us the contours at the different levels. For example, the 32 we have here, the 51.8 we have here. So depending on how many levels you have set is how many that you'll get in the color bar as well as the surfaces. Now, if you want to increase this, maybe you want to take this up to, I think it goes as far as, let me try this, 32. It'll actually go up as far as 32. Let me try 33. I believe 33, get an error. So 32 is as high as you can go, and you'll see that it generates 32 slices in your model. So it's kind of a neat way of looking at a way of looking at the results within your study. And this isn't limited to thermal. This goes across the board for all of our study types. Another thing you can do is you can animate, and obviously when you do that, it's going to run through the animation. Another thing that I think is pretty neat, and in fact, let's go back and turn this back down to about 15, just so it's not trying to create so many. Another thing that I think is really kind of nice is we also have added what we refer to as the dynamic ISO contour. If I click on dynamic ISO contour, you'll notice it's on a slide bar, and I can either change its value to a number between 32 and 250. For example, I can change it to, this says 90.1. I'm going to put it on 95, and it's going to show me where that is in the model, and it's going to show me an arrow as to what value I keyed in. Another thing you can do is you can simply slide the bar, and you can kind of get results back this way, whether you have ISO contour or ISO ISO lines or ISO surfaces turned on. Now, if we come out of here and we go to display options and we turn off surfaces and contour, then it switches to the ISO line contour. Now, anytime that you want to come over and do none, you can show the contour without the model, but in this case we just have the external mesh turned on. So it's a pretty cool enhancement in that we can now show ISO surfaces and ISO lines in our results. But just remember, if you want to view this information, you need to, if you want to view ISO surfaces, you need to turn it on in your study through the modify study, or do it when you create the actual study, and you won't have to come back and modify it. So with that, it's another great enhancement in ST5 simulation.